20 years ago, Stephanie and I decided that we needed something with more involvement within our community here while we were at Middlesex. We started a group called Pro Voice, and with that, we realized that there was no Take Back the Night in our community, so we decided to start it and put it together. And 20 years later, it's still going strong, and it's an amazing thing to see here.
Typically, we gather. There are some dignitaries that speak, some politicians and folks that run things behind the scenes, kind of get their flowers a little bit. And then there's a march with lots of chanting and usually sign holding over to UMass, where we gather, and then we can share in a safe space our stories of survival if we choose to. The Center for Hope and Healing, they have amazing resources. There's also 988, which is a suicide prevention hotline, and there are also LGBTQ hotlines through the Trevor Project.
And I will say that the Center for Hope and Healing is one of the reasons why I'm still here today. So I give a lot of where I am today based on them. Being 15 years old, I had no idea where I was going to head in life or where I was going to end up. And they were with me step by step, from everything from group therapy to personal one-on-one therapy for free. And their hotline is amazing. Like on the spur of the moment, and somebody is always available. So I think it's whether you're a survivor or not, come, join us, see what it is, hear our stories, see us, and through seeing us, you'll be able to assist us and others.
I am a part of Community Connections, and I believe that within this youth community group, we spread awareness about certain issues and certain topics about community issues, and we just connect youth people together to spread more awareness about it.
So we can all together know what it feels like, even if it hasn't happened to us or it wasn't a part of us. We still can always support each other and do well.
We are here to support victims of sexual violence, domestic violence, etc. We come to this event to talk about.
Personally, I think it's important because I know it can sound cliche, but it's to know you're not alone. You may feel like it's you against the world, but if you know that one person that gone through what you've gone through, you can share those thoughts and you can let it out.
I think it's important, too, to break the stigma and that survivors need to be heard and need to be believed.
I had the pleasure of taking one of CHH's training courses. And it was phenomenal. My eyes were so open to all the different avenues and different resources, as well as the different nuances behind survivorship, right? And I really have to say, as a man, it was very eye-opening. And I know that as a man, we can play a bigger part and a bigger role in bringing awareness to this issue, as well as tackling it, for sure.
For those who have experienced generational harm, you know you can't simply escape. It settles in your bones, the air you breathe, the violence sometimes even living inside of you is quiet, masked, always waiting to get loud. Toxic childhoods aren't about just one behavior, one person, or one moment. They're about a culture, familial, even systemic, built around preserving dysfunction. Harm is protected, the powerful are shielded, and in the process, our very sense of self becomes warped. At 18, I started therapy, and I have never stopped. That's over 23 years of therapy. Individual, group, family, workshops, writing circles. In those early years, I began to unpack the ways I learned to survive. How PTSD has wired me for hypervigilance. I later learned how OCD has given me rituals that feel like control, but only deepen my distress. I realized that many of my coping mechanisms are not just habits, but dysfunctional responses to trauma. Relearning how to live, how to manage my thoughts, how to exist without defaulting to fear or compulsions hasn't been a straight line. I'm not sure that there's a checkered flag. It has taken investigation, exposure, peeling back layers of myself I didn't know were there, and most importantly, community. These spaces have given me the room and the tools for the undoing. Safe, contained, but never sterile. Space is meant to hold my humanity, not my productivity, not my value to the world, just me.
I am Diana DeZoglio. I am your state auditor, and some folks might wonder why an auditor is speaking tonight. And those P's, yeah, they really do hit this microphone hard. And the reason why I'm here as an elected official who's an auditor, it really has nothing to do with the fact that I'm an auditor. It has to do with the fact that I'm a survivor, and that I really, really can't thank you enough for continuing to get together year after year after year to create space and to come together for survivors just like us, just like those that are here. I was in the single digits when I was in a daycare facility in the city of Lawrence and was sexually abused. As just a young child, didn't know why it was happening, didn't understand the situation. But after a time of that happening, I ended up telling my mom, who was just a teenager when she had me. She was just a baby herself when she had me. And she was doing her best, and I remember telling my mom what was going on and telling her about the sexual abuse that was occurring and watching my mother break down in tears over it, wishing she could have done something to protect me. And I remember she called the daycare facility, she told them what was going on, and she fought to make sure that they knew what was happening. And at first, they didn't believe her, and they didn't believe me. Because how could this man, who everybody loved and respected so much, do something so horrible to some young little girl like me? I wasn't believed. My mother wasn't believed. Until, eventually, another kid came forward. And then another kid came forward. And then another kid came forward, and another, and another, and another, until eventually we were able to make sure that it stopped, that this man was held accountable. But it took speaking up, even though it was scary. And it took speaking out. And it took taking a stand even when nobody believed what was being said. And speaking out didn't just help me or my mom to be able to move forward. Speaking out, I learned during that time period that it wasn't just me that speaking out ended up helping, but it was all of these other kids who eventually ended up being helped because one person, a little girl, spoke out during that time period.
Sexual violence has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexual violence has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexual violence has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexual violence has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexual violence has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexual violence has got to go! We have the power! We have the right! We have the power! We have the right! The streets are ours! Take back the night! The streets are ours! Take back the night! We have the power! We have the right! The streets are ours! Take back the night! No more shame! No more rape! No more shame! Survivor voices we proclaim! Now! When do we want them now? What do we want? Safe streets! When do we want them? Now! When do we want? Now! When do we want them? Now! Good job, guys!
So my name is Kashana Asay, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Women of Color Network. We support the leadership and sustainment of women doing sexual violence or domestic violence work in Massachusetts. And Take Back the Night is dear to my heart. As a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I endured in silence for 11 years. I was not free from that abuse until I left my home and went to college in 2009, where on a college campus I got to experience Take Back the Night for the first time, and it was then that I took back my night, my dark night. What deeply touched my heart is seeing the range of age that showed up today. We have folks who are young teens up to elders in the community, all coming together to say, we see survivors, many of us are survivors ourselves, and we want the community to know that this stigma around sexual violence must end. We are saying no. We want you to know that no means no and yes means yes, and we are here to stand out against that abuse. I was also particularly touched by the speech from Massachusetts State Auditor Diana DiZoglio, speaking up about her experience of abuse as a child and how it was in her brave act of speaking up about the abuse that finally many others in the school were also able to speak up about how this person that was supposed to be a trusted adult was violating them. And it's the action, the courage of speaking up and doing what's hard in that moment that breaks the cycle. And it's us being willing to hear and support one another and listening and believing when survivors disclose abuse.
Tonight I shared a little bit of my personal story, my personal journey, and then also shared some of the ways that we in the Office of State Auditor are making sure to create space for survivors in our audits that we are conducting of state government agencies. I shared about how we audited the Sex Offender Registry Board recently and early education and care recently to make sure that daycare providers are actually conducting background and licensing checks on these child care providers to make sure that there's not abuse going on in these child care facilities. And walking down the street to get here tonight and standing in solidarity, holding up our signs that Katie made, standing with survivors and being loud about it, ending the stigma and making sure that people know there's nothing to be ashamed of, and we need to get loud on behalf of survivors.
We live in a society now where human beings they're more objectified and sexualized and commodified as human beings in our society, and it's destroying and negatively impacting how young people are growing up, how they see their lives, their bodies, their worth, how they build intimacy and real connection with other human beings, how young women feel about themselves and their body images.
I'm not very good at speaking, but
yes, you are.
If I could say anything, I would say that there is hope, and there's hope in standing up. It's really, really hard. I just got my rapist sentenced last fall. He's serving 7 to 10, and it was really hard. It was very, very hard. But I sleep at night, and it's amazing. But I'd also like to say, like I just pointed out, enablers. This is a huge problem. And if you know a rapist, if you know somebody that's sexually assaulting someone, if you know someone that's a jerk to women, speak up, because you could make the difference. And that's all it takes, is for someone to be strong and say it.